Let's kick off a new year of podcasting by going all the way back to the turn of this millennium. We're chatting about the ass-kicking trio from the 2000s reboot of Charlie's Angels on this episode of That Song from That Movie. Question.
Tell me what you think
What you think about me.
Thank you for joining That Song from That Movie, the journey through the very best and worst of movie songs. I am your one-third of an elite crime-fighting trio backed by a billionaire, host Dietrich. And joining us, as usual, is the angel who can shatter a cinder block with their forehead, Alex.
Yeah, I can also throw a Satsuma through a breeze block.
What is that a reference to something? Or just like a teacher?
It is, but it's a deep cut. It's a very deep cut.
Is it really?
It's exceptionally deep.
And completing the lineup is the captain of the Love Boat, Ben.
Recently promoted. Keep working,
Really?
guys. Your dreams will come true. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have often said that you're very Tom Green-esque.
Yeah. That's not a good comparison, to be
It's
honest.
not a compliment. Wasn't intended to be so.
I would like to know, in the past fortnight, what have you been watching?
Charlie's Angels.
Go on, Alex. You go first.
I haven't been watching much except for the trailers, but I did read a book about film which was called Box Office Poison, which I would recommend. It's about Hollywood's biggest flops since like the very early days of Hollywood to up until Cats, basically. So 2019.
Up until Cats. Wow. What a bookend.
Yeah, well, it really is. But some really interesting ones in there, such as Babe, Pig in the Sea.
Was it a flop?
Yeah, unfortunately. Not Babe, but Babe, Pig in the Sea.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and a film that I know D absolutely loves, Speed Racer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's visually one of the best films ever made.
Well, there you go. That's it.
God, yeah, nice. Well, reading a book, that's a new one for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
What have you been watching? Some words in a book.
What have you been reading? What have you been reading?
I think I read one book last year.
Okay.
Does Radio Times count?
Sure.
Just TV Guide book.
This is the first episode we recorded since Christmas. The Wallace and Gromit movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, I did see that.
What did you think?
I loved it.
I've not liked some of the more recent ones, or at least comparatively, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I agree. I rewatched all of them in anticipation, and there is a real down curve
Yeah.
to Love and Death, but I thought this was a real return to form.
The puns are incredible.
Yeah,
Like some of them catch you off guard. They're so good.
exactly, and it was completely worth its Christmas Day prime
Oh, yeah,
time slot.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
I went to the cinema. I'm back on doing that thing. Yeah, I went to see the Nosferatu.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Was SpongeBob in it?
He was not. Also a fairly deep cut of a joke there.
Nosferatu.
It's good. I mean, if you've seen his other films, if you like them, you'll like this one. But I still think it's like in a very packed cinema. There was a lot of kind of confused. Like that wasn't scary like a horror film, and it didn't really have a story like a typical modern film. So I don't really know how to feel about it. But I think if you just like mood, it's very moody.
I did see a lot of reports of people saying that people would laugh when you're supposed to be sad, and be sad when you're supposed to laugh.
I think that's like those kind of like sort of Hereditary, Midsummer, Lighthouse films where like there's naked men on the screen and people just find that funny or something like that. It's like, it's a penis. And it's like, yes, and there's also a head being chopped off. That's the bit that's supposed to scare you, but
Yeah.
I think when we feel uncomfortable, a lot of people laugh, and I think we can all empathise with that.
Yeah.
Because that's a safe emotion.
Good morning, Angels.
Good morning, Dietrich.
Your mission today is to discuss the reboot of Charlie's Angels and its smash hit song, Independent Woman Part 1. So to find out what was happening in the world when the movie came out...
Time for some history.
So we're going back to October 2000. We were all 9 years old, guys. Life ahead. Ah, what a time. But do you remember these films? And I want a quick one-word review of each of these films.
Let's do it.
If you remember them, that is. Okay, so 2000s, Bedazzled.
Outstanding.
Great film.
That's 2 words.
That's 2 words.
Give me 1 word, D. Come on.
Bedazzling.
The Little Vampire. You remember that film?
I don't think I saw that.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I do remember
there was
it, but I
there
didn't
was
see
there
it.
was vampire cows in it. That's the thing. Okay, Billy Elliot.
Never seen it.
You've never seen Billy Elliot?
No.
Heartwarming.
Heartwarming. Yeah. Meet the Parents.
It's difficult to put it into one word, but I want to say it's aged better than expected.
I'm going to say one word gives it a different connotation.
Milk.
Yeah, milk. I like that. I like that a lot. And finally, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
I mean, the word that comes to mind when I think of that film is LimeWire.
Yes,
I'm trying to download it.
I actually have a memory of downloading that off LimeWire Pro, obviously. Alex, one word for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Bamboo.
Yeah, bamboo, fair, absolutely. We also had the Digimon movie that came out, but I don't know if you guys had seen that.
I remember the game.
I've not
I probably
seen it.
have seen it. I probably have seen it, but I can't remember it.
Die Hard Pokemon, sorry.
Yeah, I love the Digimon TV series. The first run through was great.
Yeah, it was good.
Do you mean the theme song?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it is fantastic, but we won't have a rendition. Oh, we should do that film!
Well, if that's the theme song, then we should definitely.
We've done a Pokemon movie, so we should do.
We've done the
Digimon.
Did we
Pokemon
do
movie,
the
yeah.
Pokemon movie? I don't remember doing that. So how long have we been doing this podcast?
I mean, in October 2000, we had one of the wire-fu films of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but how about Charlie's Angels, the vastly inferior? Charlie's Angels, for those unaware, is an American action comedy by McG, which just I hate saying, starring the likes of Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu as three secret agents working for a private detective agency operated by the unseen Charlie. It's an inspiration from the original American series, which ran in the 1970s, and is the first of what was technically a trilogy of Charlie's Angels films, but the first of two with this cast. So this was a pretty huge film for the time, but what do you guys think? So I'll come to you first, D.
Yeah, so I think what this movie really is like a time capsule of the turn of the millennium, a sort of post-Matrix world that we were growing up in and Hollywood was trying to get its grasp on. Some of the ideas on how new technology works is just laughable in the film. Like downloading data from Tim Curry's phone, it's just a note that says the word downloading. Like that passed for Hollywood movies back then. I think that almost is why I enjoyed it this time, but at the time thought it was not good. Because things like that took me out of it, but now I find very endearing.
Yeah.
Also to that, there's some horrendously aged depictions and attitudes towards women's bodies in this film, all of which was very commonplace at the time, and I guess things are slightly better now, but could feel myself cringing at how the shots were compositioned. Mostly like slow motion shots of Cameron Diaz's butt.
Yep.
I haven't seen the more recent Charlie's Angel film, but I'm assuming that was approved upon.
I mean, it's one of those where it's trying to self-reference that we're aware of how bad the film is, but we're still building upon the franchise. It's one of those awkward of like, it's like trying to be self-deprecating and self-referencing at the same time.
Almost a sort of like, don't worry guys, it's tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, that and a bit too much. So, it's not very good.
So while some of this film hasn't aged very well, it just about stays on the right side of earnest, like being a fun time, like an earnestly good time. I do feel like, I suppose going back to the tongue-in-cheek thing, I do feel like we miss these kind of movies now. They've been replaced with like quippy Marvel-style movies where nothing can be earnest, everything has to be meta. Like, I feel like the last truly good version of this sort of film was the A-Team reboot, which is also weirdly another reboot.
Okay.
The one with Liam Neeson and Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
And that was crucified for being cheesy.
Yeah.
As if that schlocky, cringy vibe wasn't exactly what they were aiming for.
Mm.
And I feel like it's the same here.
Yeah, I get
So
it.
generally, I think this is a good movie, but it's not without flaws. Some of which are self-inflicted, and others are just a reflection of when it's made, which feels like something you should say about a movie from the 60s or 70s, but it's actually a movie from this side of the millennium.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good point to think about. Alex, you want to go in?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's kind of like the gross bits that Dee mentioned that just feel a bit like a bit squirmy when you watch them now. But I think if we do push that aside, and I imagine this film was not critically well received, but I thought it was an absolute riot when I was watching earlier. It was fun. It was silly. It was joyful. It was literally non-stop balls to the wall action.
Would you describe it as full throttle?
Well, no, I'd describe the sequel as full throttle. This was slightly off the gas, just in prep. This was like the preparation, but it's just like the screen in this film. The picture is absolutely packed. Like there is not one wasted second in this film. It is like literally full. I can't say anything else other than Full Throttle.
You
But
can't
yeah,
think of anything
I
but
can't
saying
think of
Full
anything.
Throttle now.
Full Throttle. It's Full Throttle, but it really is. Like, honestly, you can relax when you're watching it. It was just like it was almost too much at times, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do agree with a lot of what Dee said. Like, the tech stuff is embarrassing. The close-ups of Cameron Diaz, his midriff, for no apparent reason, are embarrassing. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's just like it's too male gazy, and it made me question who the film was really for. But yeah, I think the other thing is, like, there are we're going to obviously get on to the main song, or the song that kind of was released to coincide with the film. But there are like 1,000 songs in this film. It's relentless, and the whole thing just feels like a series of like music videos connected together. I don't know if the guy who directed it has a background in music videos, but it really feels like he probably does, because every single phrase, like every single song that's used has like about 30 seconds. They all feel like they're just stitched together one after the other. And yeah, I mean, Dee mentioned The Matrix, but you mentioned Crouching Tiger, Ben. I think obviously it was straight off the back of those two films. I was thinking, how can we use Bullet Time? How can we use how can we use this kind of like strange kung fu that feels completely out of place with the rest of the film? But yeah, I think to me it kind of all came together in a very strange way, and I really enjoyed watching it. Like, it was a fun film to watch. And like Dee said, they don't really make films that are this, like, I don't know, just enjoyable anymore. Everything's a bit too serious. This was very not serious intentionally.
Yeah, and I think that you kind of it was less so at the time, but it was still a debate that came up. Like, is this film sexist or is it empowering? And I think, like, and that conversation has kind of, I guess, not necessarily escalated, because Charlie's Angels is not exactly in the modern zeitgeist, but if it ever comes up, that conversation comes up more. And I think the thing is lost of, like, it's not that serious of a film. I think to kind of go too deep in those kind of questions, I think it's a bit schlocky, it's a bit male-gazy. I think that it can be a bit empowering, but it's kind of light. I think it's just let's just throw into as much into an action film as we can, like those films of the time. I always think of like Triple X or something like that as an example. You know, it's pretty poor and loads of holes in it, but it is just like, how much action can we stick into it? How much kind of can we throw in a laugh here and there, even if it doesn't really fit? Oh yeah, we've got a villain who likes to sniff hair, and yeah, go on, just throw it in, whatever.
It must have been rare as well for there to be an action movie with 3 female leads in it. Well, and say what you want about that, but it must have been rare for a film like that to exist. It probably is rare even like, now for that.
You know, when like you got to like Expendables 4 and stuff like that, and like, oh, maybe we should throw in a female, and they're like, yeah, we don't really have any, because generally it was always female actresses who took on kind of action roles. I always think of like, you know, like G.I. Jane, or like even like Gina Carano was trying to do, obviously, before her stupid stuff in like, was it Mandalorian she was in, wasn't it? And stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no one really kind of sticks around in the genre, at least in kind of like a mainstream success. And outside of that fact, they do it very well here. Like, I mean, Drew Barrymore fits the role pretty well. I think the Cameron Diaz and Lucy Liu characters are a bit more, I don't kind of bond with as much, but I think the Drew Barrymore character is a bit like, it just kind of makes sense and fits. I mean, she was producer, which probably helps, but I'm the same. I kind of like enjoy it, and but I turn my mind off to enjoy it. It's not too offensive that I feel bad about that, and I don't think it's a film that should be celebrated or lauded as some sort of like, this is what we need more of.
Yeah, it's just a ride, wasn't it?
It's fine where it sits. Yeah, it's fine where it sits, and I can use it as a time capsule to go back to what I was like to watch these kind of films when I was 10, 11, 12.
I enjoyed
100%.
the Luke Wilson role in it, because it's literally the role he plays in every single film.
Luke Wilson, I think it's almost like this is the exact cut and paste for like Legally Blonde.
Yeah, or
my
like
super the empowering female character, and he's he is literally empowering female character. I'm slightly pathetic but nice, sort of. I'm not going to be intimidated by your female power, but I'm not going to be overawed by it either. You know what? In fact, Luke Wilson probably not had a career since this has gone.
I did wonder whether... So there's a scene with Lucy Liu where she's giving Tim Curry a back massage, and she puts her feet in his face. Oh, yeah. And I wondered whether this was the almost like audition for the role in Kill Bill, with Quentin Tarantino.
Almost certainly. Almost certainly. You can literally see Quentin Tarantino standing up and screaming, "Freeze frame!"
You can. You actually can.
Freeze
And that was all
frame.
I could think about when it was on. I was like, oh my god. Because it's literally like a year later as well. It's like literally like a year later. So,
Oh, yeah, it is.
yeah,
And
it
like, she's
fits.
not really done it well, has she, even Lucy Liu? But yeah, the film was a box office smash. It made $264 million on a $93 million budget. But as you guessed, Alex, it had lukewarm reception from critics. I think they generally liked it for the action, but just felt like it was a bit mind-numbing in points. Drew Barrymore apparently took home around $40 million from the film because she was the person who purchased the rights from the original TV show. So I think she made $80 million apparently on the sequel. So if you ever wonder why she's successful, there you go. But do you want some facts about the film?
Absolutely.
So the three of them, the main cast, were apparently incredibly committed to the appearance that they could at least engage effectively in martial arts. They trained with Chung Yan-yen, who was the stunt choreographer, martial artist. He was the stunt choreographer for the second two Matrix films. Again, you know, that link to Bullet Time Wire Fu.
Yep.
And there was a few names that basically turned down the roles because they thought they were like stereotypes, you know, dumb blonde characters. I think the only person that came out was Thandiwe Newton. She turned down the Lucy Liu role because she thought it would play to racial stereotypes, which there are a few of in the film. Any guesses what Roger Ebert thought?
I think he loved it.
2 stars.
No, it was half a star he gave it.
Harsh.
Half a star out of 4. He said it was a movie without a brain.
Yeah, that is way too harsh.
This was interesting, though, reading up about the film. So, Guillermo del Toro, you know, incredible director, he said that it was because of Charlie's Angels that wire fu, so this technique of, you know, strapping wires to people's backs and making them fly across the screen and fly, what was made famous in Crouching Tiger and was like a huge thing in Hong Kong sort of films in the 90s. He said that it never took off in Hollywood because of Charlie's Angels. Because in his words, he said, "As soon as you see Cameron Diaz flying through the air and taking down 5 guys, you realise you're done with the wires." Which I think is very fair.
Yeah.
He basically said, like, because Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out the same month in America. And he said that a lot of people couldn't take it seriously because of Charlie's Angels.
But did they get the technique? Because that film was released earlier in the year, I think, wasn't it? I looked it up earlier because I was like, well,
Crouching Tiger came out in May, and like at Cannes, and then it was,
Yeah.
you know, obviously it was a Chinese film.
Yeah. So presumably they didn't necessarily take it from that film. It just seems weird timing that they both.
Well,
came
no,
out at the
so
same time.
it was well, there's famous films like Iron Monkey and like various sort of kung fu films from Hong Kong that used wire fu, so it was quite well known. And I think because
Right.
Hong Kong was sold from UK to China in '97, a lot of sort of stuntmen left kind of in the mid-90s, which is why there was that sort of influx of films like, you know, Matrix, Charlie's Angels. You think of like even things like Bulletproof Monk,
Shaolin
and
Soccer.
Lots of
Shaolin
Jackie Chan
Soccer.
films.
Well, things like, you know, a lot more Jackie Chan sort of films, you know, becoming big and popular. You know, we've got like the Rush Hour films, things like that.
Shanghai.
There was
Noon.
almost the appeal of taking all the expertise, because they didn't want to become part of mainland China, to America. So there would have been a huge influx of, look, we've been doing this thing for, you know, 6-7 years in our martial arts kind of films of using wire fu to make it look really extravagant and impressive. And I guess a lot of fans like Guillermo del Toro would have said that would have become huge in the action world if it wasn't for films like Charlie's Angels, which made it a bit of a pastiche.
Yeah, like a gimmick almost.
I think even by Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, the appeal of it has gone.
Well, I've not seen Full Throttle.
What?
Maybe we'll cover it in the future.
I think me and Alex saw it at the cinema together.
We did, yeah. We actually did, I think, yeah.
I think I think my parents took you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben's parents.
I think we were literally, it was a very odd moment though, because I just feel like me and Alex were in my room like playing video games, and my parents just came up and said, "Do you want to go see Charlie's Angels?" And we're like, "Oh, okay."
I suppose. Yeah, because I have more of a memory of seeing the second one than I do this one. I've definitely seen the first one, but I was like, the images I have of Charlie's Angels is the second one.
Most of my images of Charlie's Angels are Crispin Glover just screaming as he holds hair.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of my recollection of Charlie's Angels actually comes from Scary Movie 3.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Moo, motherfucker. That's what I was thinking through that entire scene.
Okay. So the song in question for today is, as Dee said, Independent Woman Part 1 by Destiny's Child. So the song was released in August 29th, 2000 for the film, and it was released in August for the film, but just slightly before, and then it was also included on Destiny's Child's album Survivor a year later. The song was produced by R&B recording duo Poke and Tone, with the lyrics by Corey Rooney and Beyonce herself. But before we move on, guys, just checking. Do you know the lineup for Destiny's Child?
Yes. Beyonce,
Come on,
Michelle,
give me it.
Kelly.
You're not full names? We're not full names in them?
Oh, well, Kelly Rowlands, Beyonce Knowles, Michelle... I was going
Michelle
to say Williams, but it's obviously not Michelle Williams.
It is Michelle Williams.
It is Michelle Williams.
Oh, it is Michelle Williams. Oh, right, I'm thinking... I'm sure there's an actress called Michelle Williams.
Yeah, there is.
There
From
is,
Drive.
Dawson's Creek. Yeah.
I'm famous for Dawson's Creek.
Well, she was. That's where she
Hilarious.
became famous. She was famous. That's how she became famous.
Okay. This is the first time we actually have Michelle Williams in the Destiny's Child lineup. Because it was different people beforehand. But before we go on, now, what do we think of this song?
God, it's an absolute classic, isn't it? Of the period. It's an anthem. It's anthemic. And no, you can't even say the word question without then thinking about the next line. Like that is how ingrained in the mind of people our age, I think this song is. I mean, whether or not it fits that well with the film, I mean, we might get on to talking about its how it's featured in the film, but it's completely just like washed over like every other song. But obviously the song itself does tie into the film lyrically. But yeah, it's an absolute banger.
Yeah, agreed.
D, go on.
Definitely agree. As Alex said, it was basically an instant classic, wasn't it? And with an instant classic music video, and it was everywhere at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you couldn't turn on the box or Smash Hits or something similar like
As
that
you often
without
did.
this song coming on. And it's not just because Ben kept texting the code for it to be played, but just because it was a very popular song.
I wanted that polyphonic ringtone.
Yeah, you were a big Jamster fan, weren't you?
Jamster, wow.
Christ.
I wonder how many people paid for those polyphonics. I always wanted
I definitely did it once.
I always wanted to.
And then was like, where's all my top-up credit gone?
I think my sister got told off by my parents for buying Lonely by Akon.
But I mean, like you're saying, like it's weird, like buying a ringtone for your phone, but it's weirder ringing into a music channel to request a music video, right?
Yeah.
That's weirder because you're still paying for that. Like you're paying the phone, or you were then back in the day when you used to pay for phone
There was
calls.
like 12 channels to flick through anyway. You might as well try all the others.
Yeah, well, exactly. They all share the same thing.
Yeah, and it was popular enough that it was going to come on anyway.
Yes, exactly. Just people requesting like 393, 393.
Probably not going to get it on Scuzz though.
With the song, I was watching Charlie's Angels, I was excited to see where it was going to be used, and then finding out it's just background music whilst they're a drive-through, and it was so obviously added very late in production. It was a massive bummer.
Yeah.
It was like that's it? It was just such a letdown, because I guess similar to when we covered Paramore and Twilight, I just can't see why there wasn't a bigger push to have a more prominent role, more prominent spot in this movie for this song. Were we not in the Synergy era yet? It's just an absolute waste of a bit of crossover opportunity.
Yeah. I think it's because these films are often produced by so many people, there's not a single vision. Like, there was 14 writers for this film. That, you know, it's just like a Frankenstein's monster at the end. The only thing I think of, because McG started off as a music video director, you feel like he'd know more about how to use music. You know, like we talked about, the Daniels, obviously, when we talked about Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
That's how they started, for like the Shins and Foster the People. You can tell that they know, like Alex said, they cram a lot into their films, but they know how to like use music and sound and, match things up quite easily, like the sounds of like a thump with like a bass drum. McG just looks like he's just cramming everything in, and it does feel like it's just left there. Like, oh crap, oh they got it too late. I'm like, oh just carry on, just quickly, we'll throw in another song.
Yeah, it feels like it's edited like a music video, but not with but with different music. I feel like that's it. He's more of a visual music video director, and the song is just a subplot to whatever else he's doing.
Yeah, which is a shame.
It sort of feels to me like the only song where they actually had a plan was Smack My Bitch Up, which
Yeah,
I think they worked backwards from going, huh, this song being in this film will be funny.
Yeah.
And that was about it.
Yeah, probably. Which you just feel like, yeah, have a bit more like pre-thought. Like, I want to make this film. Oh, it'd be really good if we have this person make a song or this song. But maybe we're just, I guess, spoiled.
Yeah, it's because I think it felt odd because like having not, even if you hadn't seen this film, you ask people what the song from this film was. Some of them probably would know that it was this, and therefore you'd think it must feature prominently, but obviously it doesn't. I think the song that features most prominently is that one that goes, "Heaven must be missing an angel." I've been singing it all day.
Yeah.
But it's like that's and that's literally in the film because it's got the word angel in it. And like the first 20 minutes, there's about 5 songs that have the word angel in it, but no Angel by Robbie Williams. But that might be because it came out just after this. But
yeah, as the better man have realised, Robbie Williams not popular in America,
not known in America, not just not popular. No one knows who he fucking is. Who is this man?
That's why there's a monkey.
That's why there's the monkey.
So you said Michelle Williams, you said Kelly Rowland, you said Beyonce Knowles. Does anyone remember the other Destiny's Child members?
No.
Wasn't Solange in Destiny's Child for a bit?
She was not, no.
Okay, then I don't know.
Is it someone famous?
Interesting names. Not at all, no. I just didn't. This was our deep cut. Does your Destiny's knowledge go? Are you Destiny's children? Guess not. So their names were Latavia Robertson and Latoya Luckett. Now, Latoya Luckett, that is her name. But after these two were removed from the group, Michelle Williams came in. She was not even in Destiny's Child officially when this song came out, but you can hear her on the song. Technically, when this song came out with her voice, the other two were still in.
Ruthless?
So originally there was 4 members. Latavia, Latoya, Kelly, and Beyonce. Latavia and Latoya are removed, and then Michelle is added, and then someone called Farrah Franklin was also added. Her vocals are also on this song, but she was never made an official member. I think she was technically in the band for about 2 months, but she left after reportedly struggling to attend major promotional dates, though in later interviews she said that she simply had a stomach bug and quit after the management berated her for it. Which does sound a bit like Beyonce's dad, from what you read about him.
Yep.
Yeah.
He was a bit of a Michael Jackson's dad, wasn't it? Sort of style of just constantly on it. But yeah, the song was huge. It was a smash hit in the UK and the US. One of the most successful songs of the 2000s. As well, it was praised critically for its lyrics on female empowerment, pro-feminist message. Some critics argued that message was slightly lost by some of the lyrics on materialism, but that was fairly common for R&B at the time. Does anyone know what lyrics I might be referring to?
The one where she goes, question?
Just that simple line of question?
Oh yeah, like the rock I'm rocking, I got it close, I'm wearing, I bought it.
Yeah,
does that depend on me?
Because they pay their own bills, yes, but then most of the song is, the car I'm driving, I bought it. Like their worth is based on what things they have.
Yeah, and we know they pay their own bills from that other song, don't we? Pay my telephone bills, pay my automobile bills. So we already know that.
Thank you very much, Alex.
You're welcome.
But yes, all the mamas who profit dollars, put your hands up in the air. Now, had you ever heard of Independent Woman Part 2? Have you ever listened to it before?
No.
No. I assume there was a Part 2.
Yeah.
Akin to like Usher's Confessions Part 2 having a Part 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's on the same album. It's on the Survivor album from 2001. I told you guys to give it a listen. What did you think?
I don't think it was a worthy successor.
No. I mean, because it's partly the same song.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my feedback. It was essentially a worse version of the same song.
Yeah.
That doesn't help.
The reason that is, so if you were to go Google Independent Woman Part 2, especially the chorus and few of the lyrics, it is the same, just at a slower pace, different beat. The version that we know all too well, the Independent Woman Part 1, is actually a remix of the original, which is Part 2. So supposedly, Michael Knowles, who is Beyonce's dad, the Destiny Child manager, without any of their permission or knowledge, even Beyonce, who is technically a lyricist for the song, he contacted, the Charlie's Angels producers and said, "Oh, well, we've got this song for you," and he just passed it on, and they released it like that. And then they obviously had to make the music video. And Beyonce said years later, like, you know, she never knew anything about it, that he'd just gone off and done it. So they stuck both versions on the album because part one was such a huge success. So a lovely bit of manipulation by Michael Knowles. But I don't feel like it would have even been a single. Independent Woman Part 2 is a terrible song.
Yeah, it just doesn't even sound like a song. Because it sounds like the backing track of the normal song.
It really does, yeah.
It does, doesn't it? It might have been that it was unfinished and it thought it just might play, but I don't even know why you released it. Just call it Independent Woman. I don't know why it needed the part one. Who knows if it hampered it, but, you know, I doubt it. Anyway, one of the most, as we've talked about before, one of the most successful parts of this song was probably the music video at a time where I think in the late 90s, early 90s, my God, they were pumping in money into these music videos. You remember the music video? Have you seen it recently?
Absolutely.
I feel like it's burnt into my brain.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about it?
It always annoyed me that their arms don't match up with the icon when they're doing the Charlie's Angels pose.
Yes, that's a really good point.
And it's sort of like doing the 3D turn on a 2D sculpture? Projection? Whatever it would be.
Yeah. If people haven't seen it, I mean, you're living under a rock. But basically, in the video, Destiny's Child take part in futuristic Charlie's Angels like boot camp. They sit in a classroom to watch footage of Charlie's Angels, which is a hilarious concept. And they learn from these videos, try out the challenges themselves, including agility by dancing, altitude by skydiving, and combat through martial arts fighting. There's also speed on motorbikes where they jet off at the end. And at the end, the women are greeted by the ever-mysterious Charlie. But it's clearly a big sound stage wherever they are.
Yeah, it is all green screen, isn't it?
It's just all green screen.
This is where Jon Favreau got the idea for the volume.
Yeah, it does really remind me of the Men in Black video. I feel like it's very, like, similar vibe.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. It's of a time where they felt like the only way forward was green screen. Like, you know, there's going to be no real sets in the future. Everything's green screen. It's just like Phantom Menace. You know, it's like it is that entire film. When's Phantom Menace? Is it 99 or 2001?
I think it's 90s, yeah.
Yeah, so where it's just like green screen is the future, guys. Because it's still prominent, but they kind of blend it now, don't they? I think we're all too attuned to what is green screen and what isn't now.
What you say, people in the year 2000 didn't know this was green screen.
I didn't. Not when I was like 10 years old. I'm like, wow, they are athletic.
Wow, look at these cool places they are.
Beyonce just has it all.
That giant screen with the footage of the film in it.
Absolutely.
Imagine having that in my house.
Yeah.
It's game time.
Fancy a head-to-head?
Yes.
Go on then.
Well, we've been quite successful doing this recently, so let's carry on to how we've done it before. So, what I want you to do, guys, is to each give me a set of Destiny's Child singles, and we're going to total them up to see who can get closer via their number ones. Okay? So, how we did this before is that we will use both the UK and the US chart, and we will take their highest charting entry for a single. If it's a number one single, you get 10 points. If it's 10th in the charts, you'll get 1 point. Anything lower, you'll get 0. You'll each get 3 songs, and we'll total up those scores and see who's higher. Now, in case you might not remember all of the Destiny's Child singles, I will allow you to take one single from any of their 3 solo careers. God. Even you, Michelle, even you. The last time we did this, D, you won.
You did.
Because you,
it was
you
Elton
won the
John
Elton John one, yeah, absolutely. So, Alex, I'm going to ask you to go first. So, first, give me... In fact, this time, I'm going to ask you to give me a Destiny's Child single.
Survivor.
Strong choice. D, what's the first one you're going for?
Well, I guess I'll go for Independent Woman Part 1.
So you're going for Independent Woman Part 1. Good thing you said the Part 1. Might have tricked you. Alex, give me your second Destiny's Child single.
Bills.
I like how you say it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Bills. Okay. D, give me a Destiny's Child single.
Say my name, say my name.
It's good, it's good. It's
okay.
good.
Now, Alex, do you know another Destiny's Child single?
God, they had that Christmas song, which was probably relatively successful.
There's a Part 2 you could go for.
Okay, so listen to the point. I said I would allow you to pick a solo single.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Do you have to?
You don't have to at all, no. But if you could pick a Kelly or Beyonce song.
Okay, I'll pick.
The difficulty is especially Beyonce. She's had so many. I don't know which one's the number ones.
Well, I mean, God, I'm gonna pick a Beyonce song, obviously. Unless you let me. I mean, obviously, I could go for Nelly Kelly Dilemma, if that's an option.
Surely that I would say that counts.
I'd say that counts. Yeah, of course. Okay, fair. D.
Bootylicious.
Oh,
Okay,
of
booty.
course. My body's too bootylicious for you, baby.
Okay, let me just work out what you've got here then.
Do you get bonus points if you can name a Michelle Williams song?
If you can name a Michelle Williams single that's been in the top 10.
Do we remember the song "Stole" by Kelly Rowland? Now that was an absolute tune. Stole, ho, ho,
Stole,
now you
great
never
song, isn't it?
know.
Right. I'm just doing this last one. It's because you picked the Kelly Rowland song I didn't have up. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Do you want me to just say "Halo" by Beyonce or something?
This is actually really
Single ladies.
All the single ladies, all the single ladies.
A few moments later.
This is impressive. We have a tie because every song you picked has actually been number one. That is interesting. All the other Destiny's Child songs that exist weren't number ones, but you picked the five. There are only 5 that have been number one. So Bugaboo is another one example. Jumpin', not number one. Emotion, Nasty Girl. Do you remember Nasty Girl? They featured on. Lose My Breath. Do you remember that song?
No, I remember "Baby Lose My Breath," but that's not them.
That's the one, yeah.
Can you
Soldier. Cater to You. Do you remember Cater to You?
Cater to You?
What an odd
Yeah,
song
do
that
remember
was.
that, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking, get on the boat. So you picked all the number ones, both. And Dilemma, Alex Dilemma was number one.
Yeah.
And it's all 10. So here we're going to do. We're going to do elimination. We're going to do Beyonce songs until someone says one that didn't make number one. Alex, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, I'll go Single Ladies.
Single Ladies were number one. Yep. D.
Crazy in Love.
Number one. Yep. Alex.
Texas Hold'em, that new one from last year. Surely that was number one.
Yes, absolutely. Well done. Yeah, number one in both the UK and the US. D.
If I Was a Boy.
If I Were a Boy, number one in the UK. So you was number 3 in the US. So you're getting closer.
Gosh,
Alex.
I'm really struggling.
Halo.
Oh, Alex, Halo got to number 4 in the UK, number 5 in the US. So D, what you have to do is you have to beat 4 in the charts.
Oh,
Halo
God.
only number 4.
I can do this. I can think of a song.
I would have thought Halo would have been number 1 as well.
Yeah.
Oh, the one. I was going to say the one where she's dancing. That doesn't help. Love on Top. Yes. Pulled it out my ass.
Love on Top got peaked at number 13 in the charts, D. Alex.
Well, Alex.
I finally won one.
I guess that brings an end to another episode of That Song from That Movie. Let us know what you think of Charlie's Angels on one of our many, many social media platforms. Ben, what's our social media handle?
At TSFTM Pod.
Thank you. So you can also help the podcast by sharing this on Reddit. But Alex, what random subreddit should everybody share it on this week?
I was going to say Luke Wilson, but then what was the name of this? What were the 2 names of those people from Destiny's Child who didn't make it?
Latoya something.
Yeah, Latavia and Latoya.
Yeah, that. If there's not a subreddit, there needs to be one.
So you can also help the podcast by leaving a 5-star review, telling your friends about this, or if you want to help us financially, buy some merch, signing up to our Patreon. All the links are in the show's notes for those. So all that's left now is to do some goodbyes. So it's goodbye from myself, goodbye, and goodbye from Alex.
They don't call me Balls Out Natalie for nothing.
And goodbye from Ben.
I can't believe you stole the one. It's been so long since you stole the thing I had.
Oh,
Come on, Ben.
Flip your goddamn hair.
So goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Toodles.
Question. Tell me what you think about me. Question.
Baby boys,
Stay on my mind, fulfill my fantasy.